darlings. Okay, so a lot of you guys had asked me to do a tutorial how I conceal my under eyes. So I use 3 different brushes depending on which concealer I use. These are the 3 I usually choose from. This is a MAC 224. It's just a nice fluffy brush. Oh, it's kind of and then I also use a Sedona Lace 863. Just any like fluffy brush. I personally like using this for when I use MAC's Select Moisture Cover. Yeah, it's the one that looks like a lip gloss. When I use that one, that's what I like using these for, because it really buffs in the product and makes it look a lot more natural, which is better. If you're using something like, I would say MAC's Pro Longwear Concealer, which is the one that you guys have seen me put in the jar, because like one pump is like one pump too many. So I use my Pro Longwear Concealer or my Maybelline Dream Mousse Concealer with my MAC 130. I like this brush mostly because it's kind of smaller and it's nice and dense, but it actually like buffs it really nicely. Most of the time I actually like my 130 better than the blending brushes, but like I said, it depends on the formula of concealer that you're using. I like the Pro Longwear because it just lasts a lot longer and it rarely ever creases. Sometimes depending on what under eye concealer you put under your eyes, if it's too creamy, like your eyeliner will run or your mascara will run. This one, no problem. So usually these two are like my first picks. And it's after putting my concealer, I usually set with a powder, and my favorite one to use is Maybelline's Dream Matte, and I'm in shade Medium Honey. I usually just use a MAC 109. Oh, kind of not fluffed out at the moment. I usually just use a MAC 109 or again a fluffy brush, whichever, just to kind of dip it in there, set it. Other days, well actually most days these days, because typically this is what I would usually use, but there are days now, like depending on how jacked up my face is looking, I've been using Bare Minerals Well Rested, and it's just like this powder with has like a little bit of light reflecting shimmers. I'm gonna do a review. I don't know if you guys can really see the color. It's kind of yellowish. It has like a yellowish undertone to it. Ooh. This is kind of what it looks like when you apply it, and then when it's blended out. Like if you were to use a brush to like lightly brush this underneath your eyes, it kind of brightens the whole area up. It just makes you look more awake. So I'll do a review on this to give you guys more details, but if I'm going to set it under my eyes, it's usually one of these two. Or depending if it's like for a photo shoot or if it's like for pictures, sometimes I'll use my Makeup Forever HD powder. So that's an alternative as well. So let's show you guys how I do it. Okay. So the severity of my under eyes is really not that bad. I kind of wiped off some of my eyeliner, so I don't have much anymore. So I'm going to use the MAC Pro Longwear, again the one that I have in the jar, and I usually just take my finger and then I just kind of like dab it underneath. There are multiple ways you can do this, just so you know. Some people prefer to do the triangle method. I would only suggest that if you have like severe under eyes. Mine are really not that. I put a little down my nose just to brighten up the whole area. Mine are not that bad, as you can see. But if you were doing the triangle method is basically where you take your concealer, you kind of draw a triangle, and then you just blend it out. So it like brightens up this whole area. And you want to do it after your foundation. You can do it before. I mean, like I said, it really depends on the severity of your under eyes, but I suggest doing it after so that you know exactly what you're concealing and so you can blend it into your foundation. I feel that, you know, because foundation is usually going to be darker than whatever you're using underneath your eyes, it'll kind of like defeat the purpose of brightening up the area. But that's just me. I don't know. That's how I do it. It's always worked for every photo shoot I've done or anybody's wedding or special event or whatever. It's always worked that way for me. Like, it's always worked. So I don't do the triangle method. I normally don't ever need it unless I like didn't get any sleep because I was partying too hard. So I usually just kind of tap it underneath, and then I take my 130 and I just, sorry, I'm gonna look this way because my mirror is gonna be over here. And I usually just blend it out. And I'm using a very light hand when I do this. Sometimes I bring it up more, like just to kind of even out my eyelids. Again, depending on how much sleep I really got. And then if I need to add more, I'll add more. I mean, it depends, like I said. It depends how much you need. When you're picking out an actual shade of concealer, you want to make sure you choose a shade that's definitely going to be lighter than your skin tone. And peach and yellow undertones are what's going to conceal like the dark circles, depending on the severity. Again, it really depends on how dark your circles really are, because some people are, it's so dark that you need like extra coverage. So it really depends on how much coverage you really need. But for me, this is what I do. And if I were using my Maybelline Dream Mousse, I would do the same thing. I would just, you know, take the product and like buff it underneath, blend it out, you know, just like that. So that's pretty much what it ends up looking like. Okay, so after putting on the concealer, I set. And like I said, I usually use a MAC 109. So this is usually what I do if like I'm just really in a hurry, is I would just take my Maybelline, sorry, not MAC, powder, and then just kind of tap. You don't want to sweep because you're pretty much just smearing off your concealer. So you just want to make sure you tap that in there. And this basically sets your under eyes. I brush a little bit down my nose because I have an oily T-zone. And then it basically should set it for the whole day. Again, like I said, some days I use my Bare Minerals. I use my Benefit Bare Minerals Well Rested. It just depends on how I'm feeling for the day, or like if my eyes look jacked up. Depends how much coverage I really need. But that's usually what I do, is I use these two together or these two together. It's like love. It's perfect for every day. Again. So yeah, I hope the video was helpful, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.